As AI such as ChatGPT become more and more popular, learning how to correctly talk to it, or the technical term for this, prompt engineering, is becoming more and more important. So I'm going to be showing you guys how you can actually prompt engineer and do it well. So first off, what is prompt engineering and what even is a prompt? So a prompt is just generally anything that you're sending to, in this case, ChatGPT. So whenever you're talking to an AI model, you will be sending in a prompt. And that prompt that you send in can just be any text, can be any language, it can just be anything. It can even be images depending on the model that you're working with. And then what is prompt engineering specifically? Well, basically, it's just a highly skilled way of doing your prompts to get exactly what you want, because AI models are very complex. So you can't always just put in a simple question and get out the answer that you would want. This is also true with humans as well, but when we're working with AI, there are techniques that we can use to get a more precise response that we would want. All right, let's get started. To get started, simply go to chat.openai.com/chat, and then you will probably need to make an account and sign up, and then you can freely use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is actually the AI model GPT 3.5, at least currently. They also have GPT-4, which is a more powerful version. And yeah, this is all just the AI model that OpenAI has created. So to start off with, I'm just going to go over the basics. Like I had already mentioned, you can talk to GPT and put in a prompt for any question that you might have. So we can just ask for some basic foundational knowledge that ChatGPT should know. What color is the sky? Okay, so it's going to tell us that the sky can vary depending on various factors, and it might be any of these colors. All right, and then we can ask, what color is the sky at night? All right, so we can see that it also gives an answer here about the sky being blue, black, or even purple at night. And you can see also that the responses are usually pretty detailed here. And yeah, so this is just going to be the standard behavior of ChatGPT. Usually it's going to give a sort of long response because the way that this AI is trained and engineered to respond is to give a sort of neutral response while also giving as much detail as possible for relevant topics. So you can see that I'm just asking simple questions and it's able to answer these in a relatively good way. So I have a new prompt open where I said, name the planets in the solar system, and you can see it responded right here correctly. Now I want to try doing something interesting, and that is putting in the next prompt in a completely different language. So the reason that I'm doing this is to see how it responds. If it responds in English, or in Chinese in this case, it's going to determine some behaviors of AI, or in this case, a language model AI that I will discuss. So I am just asking the question of where is the moon? And you can see now that the ChatGPT model has responded back to me completely in Chinese as well. So this is telling us something interesting. We do know for a fact that when we talk to the model, it knows all the information that it has in this like chat history right here. So you can see that we had previously asked about name the planets in the solar system, and now we're asking where is the moon, but in a different language. And then when you go into this other language, the model will also go into this other language. So there's this sort of implicit understanding by the AI that we have switched our context, in a sense right here, into another language. So that's a really important thing to note when doing prompt engineering, is that OpenAI understand context. It can understand what you previously have said and what you are now saying and how you have switched things up. All right, now to go back to what we were previously asking the AI about. What is the color of the sky? So you can see here it's giving a similar answer. I don't remember if it's exactly the same, but it will usually give a similar answer to a similar question. It will maybe sometimes end up a little bit different, but it is not deterministic, so it will not give the same response when given the same input necessarily. Sometimes it might, but sometimes it might not, because it is too complex to simply just have the same output for every single input as normal code would usually act. So we will be adding some tasks for this AI. Like I mentioned before, the AI remembers what has previously been said in this conversation. So as to do prompt engineering, we can actually take advantage of this. So we have already asked what is the color of the sky, and we will ask this again. But next time we do this, we will set up some tasks as well. All right, so first we can start by saying be precise and concise in your answer. This is just a simple instruction right here. And then right after this, we will ask the same question. So as I just said, this is the task. We're giving the AI a specific task now, and then we are just asking a question, but it will have the context of what is said right here in order to answer the question. Now let's see what it does. So you can see here, this response is much shorter than we got before. The color of the sky can appear blue during the day, pink, orange, or red during sunrise, and blah, 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 blah. And so let's test this out and to see what happens now if we say, what is the color of the sky, without saying be precise and concise in your answer. Okay, so you can see this is really interesting. The first time we had asked this question, we had gotten 5 lines. The second time, we have gotten 2 lines. And the third time, we've gotten 3 lines here. And this highlights a really important property. So in the second prompt, we're clearly asking it to be precise and concise. But in the third one, we are not, but it is still shorter than the original prompt. And this is because, like I mentioned before, it's keeping into account the previous prompts. And so therefore, this answer almost has a slight history from the previous prompts, but not precisely. It, of course, is still just answering the question given right here. Now let's ask something like, what are common dog names? All right, let's think about some more specific tasks that we can ask of the AI. Since its responses are being formed in English here, why don't we come up with some ways to think about how we can have more properties assigned to how the English is used. So for example, let's think of a task where the AI needs to put brackets around nouns, for example. Okay, put brackets around nouns in your response. And again, I'm going to say be concise and precise. Okay, so actually I didn't put a question in here, but it remembers my previous prompt that I put here. So you can see here that it is now putting brackets around dog, name, and dog. But yeah, so you can see that that is okay. I'm now making a more complicated prompt for the AI to try to have a reasonable output for. So put brackets around nouns, be concise and precise, use a diverse set of names including names from other countries, and I'm telling it to answer in a specific format with an introductory sentence, a list right here in alphabetical order, and an explanatory sentence. And lastly, just the same prompt again, what are some common dog names? All right, let's see what the AI is able to do. All right, so you can see here that it has done this correctly. It has created a introductory sentence. Dog names can vary depending on the culture and personal preferences. Here are some examples from different countries. And we can obviously see some Japanese seeming names here, Italian, Greek, and French. And they are in alphabetical order, but they are in alphabetical order for each country of name of dogs. And you can see they also had the explanatory sentence right here. The name a person chooses for their dog. I do think name is a noun, so this is also bringing up another point here that sometimes the AI is not going to get your prompt correct. So there are two things that we notice right here. And the first one is that, yes, it did not bracket all of the nouns correctly. And the second one is also some ambiguity. So first of all, there's such a thing as proper nouns too. We're not really saying if nouns and proper nouns are the same thing or not. And I don't actually remember the grammatical definition, but let's just say that's not the case. I'm not worried about that. And the second point is, I said a list separated by commas in alphabetical order. You can see that technically the AI did not follow this. They're not all completely in alphabetical order. They're in alphabetical order by country, which I did not say. So in order to rectify this, we can just tell the AI about these 2 points. 2 things to fix here. Some nouns are missing brackets, such as name. All right. And then the other thing to fix is the dog names need to be totally in alphabetical order. We do not need the country that the dogs are from to be included. So let's see if we can correct all of these issues here. All right, so now, yes, this looks to be a little bit more in alphabetical order, and yes, we can check, and it still seems to contain names common in different countries here. So something like Winston or Zeus, more popular in English-speaking sort of languages, as well as something like Hiro or Akira, which sounds more Japanese to me. And let's see if it was able to get the brackets correct. So ultimately, the name a person chooses for their dog. But we can see here that person is still not correct, and so on. There are still more nouns. So there's nothing wrong with continuing to ask the AI to correct its mistakes. Sometimes the ambiguity will confuse it enough that it won't have the correct answer, and all it needs is a little bit of a push in the sense of just a more clear prompt telling it exactly what it's missing. So I would say it's worth it to try once or twice to have it correct the issue on its own before you would go about re-engineering and completely rewriting your entire prompt. So let's try again here. Still missing some brackets for some nouns. Okay, so let's see if it's able to correct this. Although it looks like it is not able to. Is the word culture a noun in this answer? So you can see here that the AI is able to recognize that culture is a noun from this sentence, although it is not correcting this issue itself. It seems to only put dog, and then once I later called out name into brackets. So you can see here that when the prompt is getting a little bit more complex, the AI may not be able to fix this. But let's see if we can find a way to work around this. So another point to follow up on here is we have been adding a bunch of tasks for the AI to do, and they're all just basically one giant group of tasks all put together for the AI to try to solve on its own. So instead of doing it that way, let's work around and try to see if we can get the AI to return a list of all the nouns that were used in this sentence. All right, so I'm going to just put this into parentheses here and say, can you list every noun from this paragraph? All right, so it's making a huge list here, and I'm going to go through and see if it is mostly correct. So yeah, I believe, yes, personal preferences is a noun, culture is a noun, names is a noun, and obviously all of these are proper nouns, which now ChatGPT is saying that all of these are nouns when before it hadn't put brackets around them, as well as interests, values, and background. And yeah, thinking about this closely, the name was not included here. So it's still making some mistakes, but it's getting closer. And part of the reason that it's having a hard time with this is the way that these language models work is they actually view each of these words as their own token, it's called. And when you change the way the token is, like if you add brackets around here or something like that, that could potentially cause an issue. There's some black box element to this, which means that we don't know all the details on exactly how the AI works, but we do know that this can potentially be a common issue in working with AI and also prompt engineering in this case. So the whole point with this, though, to reiterate, was just that we are finding a way around the problem. If we want a bracket around all the nouns and ChatGPT cannot figure that out, we can go the other route and do what we said here and list all the nouns in the paragraph. All of the nouns that you found above, can you take them in the previous paragraph? So it is still only finding some of them. It hasn't put personal preferences into square brackets, but it has put the other ones into square brackets. Strangely, it has put double brackets around it. I'm not sure exactly why it's doing that, but it is. And then also, it didn't put all of the animals' names into square brackets. So that's very interesting that it sort of has this implicit knowledge that maybe these are proper nouns, not nouns, even though it had listed these as nouns right here. So that is one issue with ambiguity here. But yeah, we have at least made some decent progress and found a way to work around some of the issues that we have faced. All right, we're just going to go over one more small thing here that could be very useful. So a lot of people nowadays are working with different types of data in different types of file formats. So what if instead of thinking about working with paragraphs in sentences and just standard English, we thought about working with code and like sort of data formats? So to go off of this, what we can ask ChatGPT is, take all of these animal names and put them in a CSV format. So a CSV format is just comma separated values. It's a kind of a nicer way to look at this data, at least in terms of data processing. And then, since we also have the information about what sort of country name these are, as the AI had brought up before, list the country name of origin as well. We can also have the country name of origin as well in this CSV formatted file. All right. So, just takes a minute here. And yes, also, it had given us a note right at the bottom here saying that some of these do not have a specific country of origin, so they are indicated with a hyphen in the origin column. So that's really interesting that we have a name and an origin here, and it was able to put all of these names in here. Seems to have done a good job in terms of hero, Japanese, Hera, Greek. Yeah, these all seem right to me. So what we can also do is ask it to make a title for this file and common dog names and their countries of origin. And lastly, just for visually looking at this, at least on this website, I'll also ask to make this into a table. All right. So you can see that we just have a little bit of formatting here on the front end for chat.openai, which is pretty nice to look at, and also should be easy to copy over into quite a few other programs. So yeah, we can see we have had ChatGPT make us a nice formatted list of animal names and their country of origin, all just from some simple prompts, and all we had to do was know a little bit about tasks and how to look at some of these prompts from a different angle. I hope you learned something useful, and this was just a basic introduction to prompt engineering.